In this video, we will show you how to replace your headlamp assembly mounting bracket on this Jeep Grand Cherokee. This will be located behind your front headlamp assembly. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Up along the top of the front bumper cover, you're going to find two push clips, but we're going to save those for last. To start removing the bumper cover, let's make our way under the vehicle. Now from underneath the vehicle, we're going to remove 4 push clips that make their way across the center. Push clips come in all different shapes and sizes. For these ones in particular, you want to carefully press in on the center. That'll unlock it, and then you can pull it out of place by removing the outer portion as well. Other push clips, you can remove the center to unlock it, and then you remove the outer portion. Either way, once you have it out, a quick inspection makes sure it's reusable. We'll repeat the process down the line. Now as we make our way towards either side, you're going to find that you have a plastic clip. We'll turn that just enough that it becomes unlocked. Remove it from the fender liner and bumper cover. Let's continue following that fender liner and bumper cover to where they connect inside the wheel well. Now along each side of the bumper cover, we can start removing those plastic rivets. To remove these, you can either grind them off, cut them off, or just go ahead and drill out the center and remove the outer portion as well. Just going to hold the outer portion still. There's what's left of that. Just clean out our mounting port there. Continue on doing the same thing for the next one. Now that we have those out of there, if you were to continue up a little bit further towards the corner of the bumper cover where it meets your fender, you're going to find a 10mm headed bolt. We'll remove that. Once you have the bolt out of there, the next thing we'll do is take hold of the bumper cover. We're going to have to lightly tug it down and away from the vehicle, separating it from along the fender. Now let's have a quick peek inside this area. We're looking for the fog lamp assembly. Go ahead and disconnect the fog lamp assembly wiring harness or remove the bulb from the area. I'm just going to go ahead and twist the bulb. We'll remove it and give it a close inspection. Make sure it is still reusable. This one looks fine. We'll carefully set it aside so it does not cause any damage to the bulb. At this point, we're done on this side of the vehicle. Let's go over to the other side of the vehicle and repeat the process by removing the inside fender liner, the mounting bolt, the fog lamp harness, and separating the bumper cover from the fender. Now over on the passenger side, we repeated the same process, but there's one other thing on the passenger side you need to pay attention to. You're going to find that you have a wiring harness, and this wiring harness leads to each one of the parking sensors across your bumper cover. In order to disconnect all of those and remove the bumper cover from the area, we're going to disconnect this electrical connector. For this connector, you can see it has a red locking tab. We'll just carefully pry that towards the outer aspect here. We can squeeze in and disconnect this. To do this, you can use a small screwdriver, small pick, whatever you have. Just go ahead and grab hold of that. Slide it, squeeze it, pull it out of position. A quick inspection on both ends for corrosion, of course. Assuming those look good, you can continue on. Let's make our way back up into the engine compartment. We have 2 more push clips to remove from along the top center. One over on the driver's side and one in the same place over on the passenger side. Once we've removed those, take hold of the bumper cover, we'll give it a little wiggle, and remove it from the vehicle. For the push clips, just go ahead and pull out the center. As always here, that's going to unlock it. Quick inspection, move along. Now you should be able to take hold of the bumper cover. We're going to carefully start lifting it up. You can hear it unclick. There we are. Now we can start holding on along the sides. We're going to separate it along the headlamp. There we are. Carefully remove your front bumper cover. Now, to be able to remove the headlamp, we have to remove this upper plastic panel. We don't have to remove the whole panel, but we do have to dislodge it enough that we can gain access to a mounting bolt that's located under it. The panel itself is held in place with several push clips. We'll lift up on the center to unlock it, remove the outer portion. I'm using a trim tool for this. You can use pretty much anything for a prying device. We'll make our way right up here. We've got another one. With those push clips out of there, we're going to continue on to our rubber weather stripping, making its way all the way across. Just using my trim tool, pry it out of place. Now we can make our way directly underneath this panel. We have a 10mm headed mounting bolt. Continuing from here, we're going to have 4 10mm headed mounting bolts. There's 2 along the outer area here, and 2 heading towards the front. We'll start on the outer area. That bolt is just a little bit longer than the other 2 that we had removed from the side. Let's get this next one over here. That bolt is longer as well. With those bolts out of there, we'll hold onto the headlamp assembly, take hold of this lower aspect, roll it out of position. A quick inspection and we'll set this aside. Now we can take hold of that headlamp assembly, we're going to give it a wiggle and start pulling it out and away from the vehicle. But keep in mind there is a wiring harness and 1 hose leading to the back of the headlamp assembly. With this pulled away, we can start removing the hardware. We'll start by disconnecting the hose. This has a locking tab right where my thumb is. And if you were to feel along the bottom area just on the other side, there's a second tab. Pretty much in the same area, just on the opposite side. Squeeze them in and pop this out of place. There we are, just a little bit of washer fluid comes out of there. We'll continue on to our wiring harness. For the wiring harness, it has a locking tab right here. We'll just take hold of that, give it a squeeze, and slide this out of place. A quick inspection for corrosion. A quick inspection of your headlamp assembly, and we'll set that aside. With the headlamp out of the way, we have a clear view of our headlamp bracket. To remove the headlamp bracket, we're going to start by dislodging our wiring harnesses that make their way across. In this far corner, you can go ahead and lift the wiring harness up and out of position. It just goes into this hooked area. Now we'll continue on with dislodging this from the bracket. You can use a small prying device. I'm just going to continue on with my trim tool. Make our way right underneath the center, pop it out of place. A quick inspection, make sure those locking tabs are reusable. If you were to look just behind this area, you can see the far end of a push clip. We need to dislodge that as well. I'm using my prying device right along the back side. We'll just pull it right out of there. You can see it right there. Continuing on, we have another electrical connector. And another mounting point. Quick inspection of that. Now as we make our way over here, you can see 1 electrical connector. We'll pop this free. If you were to look just above this on the inboard side, there's going to be another area where there's a wiring harness. It's very difficult to see, but essentially just go ahead and pop it right out along the back side there. We'll continue following the wiring harness this way now. Pop that out of place. Let's continue on to the mounting hardware. There's one piece of mounting hardware that's going to prove to be a little bit more difficult than the others. Some pieces of hardware will be out in the open like this one, but if you were to look just below it, what you're going to see here is a nut that's technically inserted into the headlight bracket. You have to actually make your way along the backside here. You can feel it. It's almost impossible to see, but you can feel it. There's a 13mm headed mounting bolt. We're going to turn that counterclockwise to remove it. I'll show you what it looks like in 1 second. There's our bolt. Now we can remove the 10mm headed bolt up here. Let's continue following this inboard. You're going to find 2 more 10mm headed mounting bolts right behind this wiring harness. Just push that aside if necessary. Make sure you're holding on to the headlamp bracket as you continue. Now we can start wiggling this around, but there is still one more area where this wiring harness attaches to. It's in and behind here. Now that we can move it around, we can more easily grab hold of this. For this one, we're going to have to pry it downward to press it out of here. There we are. Now we can start removing this. When doing so, you want to pull it outwards towards the side of the vehicle and then bring it forward to remove it. There it is, friend. It's time for installation of our brand new headlamp bracket. We'll have a look along the bottom. You have the small port for that first area that's going to have to press in there. I like to do it while it's completely dislodged. So we'll just kind of get this close to being in place. We'll swing that in. It's difficult to see. Press it up and in there. Once you do have it secured, we'll continue on with aligning the mounting points and start in the mounting hardware. As far as the mounting hardware, let's start with the 13mm headed bolt. I'm going to make my way along the backside. We'll start it in by hand. Continue on to the 3 10mm headed mounting bolts. Once everything's started, go ahead and snug up the 13mm bolt first, and then continue on to the rest of the hardware. Okay, that one's going in. Get this aligned. Everything's started in. Let's tighten the 13mm bolt, and then, like I said, the other 3 10mm headed bolts. Make sure it's secure. Now let's start resecuring our wiring harnesses. Just get this in position, press it in. Continuing on. We've got our electrical connector. It's going to press right in here. We'll have that facing towards the passenger side of the vehicle. We have the other wiring harness that goes along the backside there. That just presses directly forward. You just need to try to find the hole on the backside. Line it up, press it in. Now as we move this way, we have the large connector, but before we plug that in, I'm just going to reach up in here. You're going to find another area with another push tab that presses in right up here. Pressing it straight forward just like before. For the large electrical connector, this one comes through from the front towards the rear. Let's make our way up and over this. Press it down into the proper position. Double check all of your points. Make sure everything's completely secured. Okay, let's install our front headlamp. Before we do, have a quick look along the back side. This is where the adjustment will be. You can make the adjustment for your beam by turning this either clockwise or counterclockwise as necessary. With that said, as we bring this into position, we have the area for our washer fluid hose and the electrical connector. We'll bring this over and find our hose. Let's go ahead and press that on there, listen for a click. A light wiggle, make sure it's secured. Electrical connector. We're going to have to push this in a little bit more as we continue here. Press it in, listen for a click. Now we can start resting this in position. Align your mounting bolt holes. While holding onto the headlamp, continue on to the plastic piece that goes just directly below it. Let's get this right on here. Continue on to your 4 mounting bolts along the bottom area here. The 2 forward ones are the longer of the 2 bolts, and the side ones are the shorter bolts. Let's get our 2 side ones in there. Reach up here. Start this one in as well. Let's make our way back up here. We can tighten this as well. Now that we have all the mounting hardware started in, let's go ahead and snug it up. Continue on with our 3 push clips. To install your push clips, drive in the outer portion first, lock it down with the center. We'll continue on down the line. Now it's time for our rubber seal. We have all those small push clips that will fit into their corresponding holes, making its way down the line here. Let's go ahead and line it up, press it in. Now we can reinstall our bumper cover. As we bring this into position, we're going to be paying attention along the center as well as the sides. Within position, we'll continue on with our push clip, drive in the outer portion, lock it down with the center. After completing the center, along each side we're going to be bringing the bumper cover directly underneath your headlamp assembly and along this area of the fender. Obviously we're being very careful for the headlamp assembly and the paint on the fender. Just tap this into place. Repeat the process on the other side. Once you have the bumper in place, we'll continue on with our fog lamp on the driver's side. Just get this lined up, turn it clockwise to lock it in. Now we can put in our fender liner. That's going to go in and behind the bumper cover. Continuing from here, we have a 10mm headed bolt that goes up in this corner, and then we're going to have push clips that make their way down along the bumper cover and fender liner. Time for the push clips. Once we've made sure that this is secure along the driver's side, we'll make our way over to the passenger side. On the passenger side, not only do you have your fog lamp bulb, but we also have the electrical connector for each one of our parking sensors. Let's start with the fog lamp. Now it's time for the electrical connector. That's going to go right up into this area. We'll press it in. Listen for a click from that. Give it a tug, make sure it's secure, lock it in with your red tab. After confirming everything's secure behind there, it's time for our fender liner on the passenger side. We're just going to tuck it in. We have the mounting bolt up here and then our 2 push clips making its way down. Now that we have the bolt in, we can do our 2 push clips. Press them in, lock them in with the center. Now on each side under the front bumper, we're going to reattach our plastic clips. Those have to go from the fender liner into the bumper cover. We can get these properly aligned, just press them in. Once you feel as though you have it lined up, turn it a quarter turn to lock it in. After completing both sides, we'll meet in the center. We have 4 areas for push clips. You want to push up on the bumper cover. Just above that area is some plastic brackets. We need to align it, and then you can put in your push clip. When installing the push clips, you know exactly what to do. Press in the outer portion, lock it in with the center. Continue down the line for all 4 of these lower push clips. Double check, make sure that's completely secured.
Now we're going to get the vehicle ready to aim the headlights. Start with the tire pressure, making sure all 4 tires are set at the appropriate pressure. Remove any excessive weight that's not normally in the vehicle. Find a wall that you can drive up to where the ground is level. Measure 25 feet away from that wall and mark the ground. Drive your vehicle up to that mark. With the headlights off, look for the center dot in the headlight lens. Measure from the ground to that center dot. You can use a ruler to help you out. Transferring that measurement to the wall, making a mark with some tape. On the driver's side, measure down 4 inches, putting another piece of tape. For the passenger side, you only need to measure down 2 inches. Now turning the headlights on, it is easier to do this at night or in a dark area. Locating your headlight adjuster and using a Phillips head screwdriver, turn your adjuster one way or another to bring the headlight up or down. Once the headlight is adjusted to the tape mark on the wall, move on to the next headlight. If you're confused because the beams seem to blend together, you can always have someone stand in front of the other headlight while you make your adjustments for that one. Now your headlights are aligned and you're all set to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.